We all have probably been scolded by a parent about sleeping with wet hair or going outside with it because it can make you sick. But can you really catch a cold? Colds are actually caused by viruses. Colds and flus are much more common in the fall and winter season since the virus thrives in cool and dry conditions. And since people tend to be indoors more often, it can increase their chances of being exposed to germs. Hygiene plays more of a role in this. The common cold can be transmitted via infected surfaces or people through bodily fluids via sneezing or coughing. Just do what you normally do to prevent getting germs. The CDC always suggests washing your hands frequently. Being outside with wet hair will just make you feel a bit chilly, but as long as you practice good hygiene and stay healthy, it'll help decrease your chance of getting sick. We can also tie in the misconception that your health will suffer if you exercise outdoors in the cold. The body does work harder in harsh climates to produce heat and keep you warm. When exercising in the cold, your body can lose that heat much faster. Working out in the cold, though, is no different than working out in temperate conditions. Just make sure you bundle up and wear lots of layers to keep that warmth. So again, can having wet hair cause a cold? The science tells us no. With THV11, I'm Corallys Ortiz. In North America, daylight saving time, and that's saving with no S, comes to an end on the first Sunday on November. This is when we turn back our clocks an hour and return to standard time. But what does standard time mean? It's the local time for a particular region and is sometimes referred to as normal time or winter time. We stay in standard time until the second Sunday in March and switch back to daylight saving time, like clockwork. It may seem like a normal routine for us, but not everyone makes these twice yearly time adjustments. About 70 countries stay on standard time all year round. Here in the US, only 2 states, Hawaii and Arizona, along with several US territories, observe permanent standard time. Recently, there have been talks about stopping daylight saving time altogether. Several states, including Arkansas, have passed legislation to permanently stay in standard time, but still need the okay from Congress. The problem? Progress on that has been slow. So, let's talk about the health effects of these time changes. When we fall back, we get to enjoy that extra hour of sleep, but earlier sunset times and more darkness through the winter can lead to seasonal depression and other impacts to our mental health. When we spring forward to daylight saving time, we slowly gain more daylight, but losing that hour of rest can throw off your sleep cycle. This has links to heart attacks increasing by about 25% during the first few weeks following the time change. Some studies have even shown a slight uptick in the amount of car crashes during the morning commute. In short, less sleep, not good. There are a few things that can make these time changes easier though. When we spring forward, practice getting up earlier the week before and wind down earlier in the evenings to get the body into rest mode, especially for you night owls. Also, as tempting as it is to have that cup of coffee first thing in the morning, you'll want to limit that caffeine. For both times of the year, try to get some of that sunshine. It helps to reinforce your body's internal clock and fight depression. With this week's Science Says, I'm Corallys Ortiz. UV rays are classified under 3 main types: UVA, UVB, and UVC, each with different impacts. UVA rays are associated with skin damage and may cause skin cancer, wrinkles, and eye conditions. UVB rays are stronger and tend to cause most skin cancers. And UVC rays are mainly absorbed by the Earth's ozone layer. Ozone levels, cloud cover, and even elevation are just a few variables used to help calculate the UV index. Summer isn't the only time of year you should be protecting yourself against UV rays. We are exposed all year round in any climate or weather. Yes, on cold and cloudy winter days as well. 80 to 90% of UV rays can still penetrate through the clouds. It's the UV radiation and not the sunlight that causes the damage. Standing in shaded areas will not block the radiation. It can still reflect off of surfaces like water, snow, and even concrete. Exposure is the highest between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. when the sun's rays are the strongest. A big misconception is that having dark skin protects you from getting skin cancer. That is false. The darker the skin, the more melanin you have, which helps protect twice as much against sunburns and UV radiation, but that doesn't mean it'll help reduce your chances for getting cancer. It's important to start protecting yourself against it at a young age. More than half of our lifetime exposure happens before adulthood. With THV11, I'm Corallys Ortiz. An urban heat island is a phenomenon wherein urban areas experience significantly warmer conditions compared to their surrounding rural regions. There are a few factors that help drive this, like radiation, convection, heat storage, or even human-generated heat. The pavement and buildings in urban areas are able to store more heat than the surrounding soil and vegetation. Albedo is defined as sunlight or radiation that is reflected by a surface. We know that light-colored surfaces like snow or ice can reflect sunlight, meaning that they have a higher albedo. Darker surfaces like rocks or concrete tend to absorb the heat, meaning that they have a lower albedo. Convection, or the movement of heat between areas of different temperatures, is the main driver behind the urban heat island effect during the day, and this is especially noticeable in cities that have higher humidity. At night is the storage of the heat due to the human-made structures. Heat is the #1 weather-related killer. Rising temperatures due to climate change is a major concern in the future for these urban heat islands, as they will only amplify heat waves and its impacts on human health. With THV11, I'm Corallys Ortiz. According to weather lore, people believe that hot and humid summer nights can generate lightning without a thunderstorm. When it comes to the term heat lightning, what you really are just seeing is regular lightning. It's lightning so far in the distance that you can't even hear the thunder. It's much more common in summer, mainly because we see thunderstorms more often during that time of year. A thunderstorm cloud on average can tower around 30 to 40,000 feet. And if the cloud is tall enough, it's possible to see the lightning even when it's 100 miles away. In order to hear the thunder though, you have to be about 10 to 15 miles from the storm. To put it in more scientific terms, sound travels much slower than light. Sound vibrations need a way to get around. The atoms within a column of air, which is low density, can help carry these sound waves. It does eventually slow down, and by the time the waves reach you, you might not be able to hear them. Light, on the other hand, is electromagnetic, and it doesn't need help from a source to move itself around, which is why it can travel faster. This explains why we see lightning first before we hear the thunder rumble. Science says that the popular old wives' tale term of heat lightning is just a myth. With THV11, I'm Corallys Ortiz. When we get higher in the atmosphere, temperatures normally decrease, with the ground acting as a heat source. When it comes to temperature inversion though, the opposite is true. We find cooler air closer to the surface and warmer air aloft. But how does this happen? Well, think of inversion as a lid or cap that prevents air near the ground from rising higher into the atmosphere. The layer of warm air is found above the cap, and air near the surface cools much faster. Air rising will cool down enough until it eventually stops rising. Inversion influences everything from visibility, air quality, and even cloud formation. It occurs under specific conditions like clear skies, calm winds, where there's enough moisture or dew present, and are likely to occur near sunset or sunrise. Horizontal smoke patterns and ground fog in low-lying areas are some visible signs of inversion. It usually disperses with the wind and the heating of the day. Inversion can also pose a problem when it comes to pollution. Since the layer acts like a lid, dust particles, smoke, and other pollutants in the air would get trapped underneath. This causes a negative impact on our air quality, which can happen on a small or large area. This is the cause behind big smog events, such as London's Great Smog of 1952. Studies have shown that if chemicals such as weed killers are sprayed on crops during an inversion, that the particles may not make it to the ground and could be carried away and damage unprotected crops over time. We can't avoid inversions, but it's always good to see the link we have with this weather phenomena and how it can affect our quality of life. With THV11, I'm Corallys Ortiz.